Good morning. I hope you guys had a really great weekend. So we are going to start with the second part of World War II, and we're still kind of setting up the war. Going to get into the beginnings of it, the cause of the war today. But I'm going to be grading your homework while you guys are finishing this, and then we will move on. So the last time you guys took notes on Friday, you were dealing with the beginnings of the Hitler in the Nazi Party inside of Germany and finding out that Germany has a lot of economic problems because of the World War I and the Guild Clause and the war reparations, and they're trying to restore themselves to former glory. They're trying to get their economy to start, and then there's a Great Depression, so things get even worse and worse and worse. So the Nazi Party is sort of like a group under Hitler that promises to make things better, which is why they're going to gain a lot of support in the beginning. However, their support is going to start to wane and people are going to start to drop off following the Nazis because situation and conditions get a little bit better in Germany. Basically, the League of Nations starts to realize that the treaty was too harsh, and again, that's why the Senate does not actually ratify it. But as a result of that, they're going to start to reduce some of the war reparations that Germany actually has to pay, and the economy is going to start to rebound a little bit. The Great Depression, though, hits, which means that political instability and increased economic pressure is going to result, and then people are going to again turn back to Hitler and the Nazi Party because they're offering solutions. So again, they're going to restore Germany into power, they're going to improve the economy, and they are going to stop the spread of communism. Eventually, the Nazi Party is going to become the second largest political party in Germany, and that basically means that Hitler becomes the chancellor. So in 1933, Hitler is going to accept the position of chancellor in Germany. Please remember, he does not overthrow the German government. He's a legally elected chancellor. He is going to be the leader of the second largest party in the Reichstag, which is your German legislature. All right, we're going to do our third country now, which is going to be conditions in the Soviet Union. So we know that there is going to be a Russian Revolution between the Bolsheviks, who are going to be called the Reds or the Communists, and the Mensheviks, who are the Whites, or going to be the Loyalists or the Royalists. And basically, Lenin and the Bolsheviks are going to win with the help of Germany, because they do get him back in the country during World War I in hopes that he would overthrow the government and pull Russia out of the war, which he does do. So the Soviet Union under Lenin is going to immediately withdraw from World War I, and then he has two basic goals. He's going to maintain communism inside of the Soviet Union and then spread it at the same time. However, conditions inside the Soviet Union are relatively difficult. The Soviet Union has not industrialized. Russia is always going to be considered to be a backward country. So they are going to experience a lot of food shortages, and they have the lack of international trade. Everyone's afraid of communism, so no one even wants to trade with the Soviet Union, which is going to be bad. Lenin actually is going to die in 1924, which means that Joseph Stalin is going to become the new leader. Stalin's going to initiate a series of 5-year plans that's going to turn the Soviet Union into an industrial superpower, hopefully. But under these 5-year plans, again, we're following this totalitarian-style government, so the government is going to control everything, all parts of the economy and also the agriculture. The same thing we saw inside of Germany and Italy. We're going to eliminate any political opponents to the system, and our goal is going to become an international world power. All right, next. Our next country is going to be things in Japan. Japan's going to have somewhat of a different story. Japan, again, is going to isolate themselves during industrialization, which is going to be the same thing that happens with China as well. So Japan is going to shut their borders. Europe is going to go through the second industrialization and then come back, wanting to open up Japan for trade. So the American Commodore Matthew Perry is going to open Japan up for trade in 1853. Obviously, if you are part of the Japanese merchant class, or if you are part of the Japanese upper class, the Europeans being in control of Japan is not something that you're going to welcome. Japan is going to start to industrialize, and they're going to try to provide assistance to the Allies during World War I. However, after World War I is over, the economy is going to decline, and then things get worse when the Great Depression hits, which is going to lead to a rise of extreme nationalism. So again, they're upset that other countries have control of Japan in terms of the economic system. Japan is going to be prohibited from immigrating to the United States and also Canada, which is also going to be negative for Japan, and their emperor is seen to be too weak because they cannot stop all these European countries coming in and creating spheres of influence inside of Japan. So Japanese nationalists and militarists are going to be able to gain control of the government through the emperor. So we have not overthrown the emperor. We are just controlling the emperor. And they begin to make decisions for Emperor Hirohito. And those decisions are going to turn towards expansion. So in 1931 in Manchuria, there is a Japanese railroad that's going to explode. In Manchuria, it's going to be part of China. And this is a part of China where Japan routinely and historically has wanted to gain control of because of the rich natural resources there. But so this Japanese railroad explodes in Manchuria. Japan blames China. China says they don't do it. Japan goes ahead and attacks and says we have to protect our vital interests here. We have to protect our economic money that we have actually invested inside of Manchuria. The League of Nations is going to condemn the Japanese attack, so Japan just withdraws from the League of Nations. 6 years later, you're going to have the Second Sino-Japanese War in 1937, and again, China's in the middle of a civil war, so this is going to be a civil war with Mao leading the communists against the nationalists, which are going to be supported by the United States. However, Mao and the communists are going to be able to win, and basically Japan sees this as an opportunity to finally gain the additional natural resources and materials that they need to complete their industrialization. They're going to invade and they're going to take control of Shanghai and also Nanjing, and there's going to be a lot of massacring that goes on. You're going to have over 300,000 Chinese civilians that are going to be killed during the occupation of Shanghai and also Nanjing. In response to this, the United States is going to issue Japan basically an ultimatum. Basically, they have to get out of China. If they don't, we're going to cut off their oil supply. Japan needs oil in order to complete their industrialization, so it's extremely important for them. Japan is going to kind of get out of China, and we are going to still ship oil to Japan. But this is going to sort of be the beginnings of a conflict between Japan and the United States over vital natural resources that Japan needs for industrialization, and then for the United States, we are basically trying to use oil in order to control other countries. And that's something that you're going to see a lot more of next year. You guys are going to get to world cultures. All right, expansion going all the way back to Germany. All right, so we're back in Europe, and we do know that Germany needs to expand in order to complete their industrialization. They had lost Alsace and Lorraine at the end of World War I, and that is going to be where all the natural resources are, and also where the mass majority of Germany factories were located. So the Chancellor of Germany, which is Hitler, he's going to start using his plans that he outlined in Mein Kampf, which is a book he wrote during his incarceration. Europe and the United States, we're not ready to go to war. We are aware that Hitler is becoming aggressive, but we're not quite ready to take that next step. So he's going to start to violate portions of the Treaty of Versailles. The first thing he does is reestablishes the Army and the Navy. The Navy was completely outlawed. The Army was relatively small. It was only supposed to be a standing army for defense only, but he's going to increase the size of the Army and start the Navy. And there's also going to be a part of France which is called the Saar, where their coal fields are going to be located, and Germany is going to peacefully convince the people in the Saar that they want to rejoin Germany and no longer be part of France. Germany eventually is going to take looking control of the rest of Eastern Europe. Like we had here in the United States with our Western expansion, Germany believes it is their manifest destiny. You do see that as well inside of the Soviet Union, when they believe that it is their manifest destiny to spread to the Eastern Europe as well. For Germany, the idea is called Lebensraum, which is basically living space for all German people. The belief is that if anyone speaks German in any particular area inside of Europe, that land should be part of Germany. So Germany is going to start to expand in order to basically put all German people together inside of one country. The first place that Germany is going to look for is going to be the Rhineland. So in 1936, Germany is going to invade the Rhineland. It's an area that's in between Germany and France. This is an area that has been completely fought over and over again between both of these two countries. Reason again, lots of natural resources in this area and lots of good farmland. The Rhineland was supposed to be demilitarized after World War I. This is again historically where Germany has always attacked France and vice versa. France always attacks Germany from this place as well. So the League of Nations does demilitarize it. Germany, however, invades the Rhineland and they're able to win. Again, the League doesn't do anything about it, which is then going to lead Germany to consider further action. The further action that Germany is going to take is actually going to be an alliance system. And this again goes back when we talked about the origins of World War I. We need friends. If you're going to be aggressive, you need friends to help back you up. So Germany and Italy are both going to be condemned for their recent expansions. So they decide that they're going to work together. They're both totalitarian governments. So they're going to enter the Rome and Berlin axis. It's going to provide protection from Western democracies. And eventually Japan is also going to join them. Europe and the U.S. are still, again, not ready to take action against Germany, Italy, or the Japanese. So eventually, this is going to be, in some cases, seen as a weakness of the League of Nations. But for Hitler and Mussolini, and also for Japan, it is seen as an opportunity. So in 1938, in terms of Austria, the Austrian Prime Minister is going to be forced to resign. And then Hitler is going to organize a group that is going to encourage people to claim and say that they want to rejoin Germany. So the new Prime Minister of Austria is going to invite the German troops in. It is one of those things we're not 100% sure if he wanted to do this, or if he was a Nazi supporter, or if he was pressured into doing this. But the end result is going to be the creation of a new country, which is Auschwitz, which is the combination of Germany and Italy. Mass majority of people inside of Austria are not going to be happy with this combination. However, again, lots of German people speaking there, lots of area that was part of Germany at some point in time but lost after World War I, and Germany is going to reclaim it. The other place that Germany is also going to reclaim is going to be the Sudetenland. Sudetenland is part of the newly created democratic country of Czechoslovakia. Czechoslovakia is going to be created after World War I, as in terms of helping the Slavic people gain independent countries, which is going to be one of the causes of the war, which was nationalism. So a large number of German-speaking people are living inside of Czechoslovakia. So what they do believe, again, under this idea of Lebertraum, and everyone has to be German-speaking under the same country, they're going to eventually basically annex a portion of Czechoslovakia. At this point, Europe starts to get a little bit nervous. So the Great Britain is going to send their Prime Minister, who is Winston Churchill, to meet with Hitler, and they're going to agree to the Munich Pact. The Munich Pact basically says that Hitler and Germany promises that they will not claim any more land, that it is done and it is over. Winston Churchill signs it, but is not happy with it. He does realize that this is not over, so he is quoted to say the government had to choose between shame and war. They chose shame, and they will get war. So he is realizing that World War II is coming. The groundwork is already being set. Europe and the United States are still following the policy of appeasement. And again, oops, sorry, I forgot to flip that side, but we saw the quote there. But we are still following the policy of appeasement, which is avoiding war by an aggressive nation by giving in to the demands. So Hitler is taking area after area. Hitler is violating many parts of the Treaty of Versailles. We see aggression going on with inside of China from Japan, and we're just not ready to do anything about it yet. The depression is still on. People are still suffering. People are so upset about the terrors and the horrors that happened in World War I. It's not going to be until March of 1939, when Hitler is going to take over the rest of Czechoslovakia, that the world starts to get ready for World War II. In terms of getting ready for World War II, we're going to see it with a series of alliances. The first alliance that's going to be made is going to be called the Nazi-Soviet Pact. Basically, again, Hitler has to be aware of this double-sided war, the two-front war, which they tried to avoid in World War I. They need to try to avoid again here in World War II. So Hitler and Stalin actually are going to sign the Nazi-Soviet Pact. Basically, the Soviets agreed that they're not going to invade Germany, and Germany is going to invade Poland and take more land. Once Germany is going to be able to divide Poland, or to conquer Poland, they're going to then split Poland in half. So that's going to be sort of the cutoff ground between the Soviet communist country and fascist Nazi Germany. European countries, again, are very, very concerned about German action. Many believe that returning to the alliance system is going to stop further aggression. So Great Britain is going to get into alliance themselves. It's called the Polish-British Common Defense Pact. So Great Britain promises that if anyone invades Poland, they are going to help. It is very, very quickly thereafterward, on September 1st of 1939, Germany is going to invade Poland. They're going to use this blitzkrieg attack, which is a lightning war that moves quickly to be able to conquer your enemy before they move demobilize. They're going to be relatively successful at doing that, and Germany quickly is going to be able to take all of Poland. Once that is over, you're going to see the other countries declare war. So in 1939, Great Britain and France declared war on Germany to form the Allied powers. Basically, in the spring of 1940, we are going to see Germany conquer the